I'm gonna be around my vegetables. I'm gonna chow down my vegetables. I love you most of all, my favorite vegetable.
Do some pickling now, and probably the most important thing about pickling is you have to have everything be completely sterile so that you don't have any nasty stuff grow while your pickles are sitting around. So we're going to start here with some hot water, which I have in my little tea kettle here, and then we're going to go over here, and I have the pickle jar all ready to go, and it is filled with hot water so that it won't crack when I pour the boiling water into it. So let's go ahead and take care of that now. First, we'll empty out the hot water, and next we will put in some boiling water into this already washed jar. It's been washed with soap and water and rinsed with hot water, and now we have some boiling water in it, which we're going to sterilize all those nasty little things. Put the ring onto it so we can shake it around a little bit. And we'll close it up here. And that's hot. Ooh. Okay, I better get another thing here for my other hand. There. Now, by having it sit upside down here, we can make sure that all the cracks and crevices and everything are all nice and sterilized. It's very important to prepare the vegetables for the pickling. In the case of Brussels sprouts, you cut off the bottoms, any discolored leaves, and then slice them perpendicular, and that gives you lots of surface area that the vinegar solution can then pickle with. And then, of course, when you're done, you take your scraps and put them into the worm food dish. Gotta feed those worms. When you're preparing your vegetables for pickling, you want to have the denser vegetables, like the carrots, be on the bottom, and it helps them to pickle more evenly along with the softer vegetables if you poke them like that, or you can even poke them with a knife like that. Or I've found that with a corn cob holder, that way you get 2 pokes for the price of 1, which is kind of good. And then once you get them all poked, then they're ready to put into the jar. I like asparagus especially well. It's so good, and the way you can save the tender parts of the asparagus, if you don't know it, is you grab the bottom of the asparagus and you break it like that, and it'll break off where it's tough. Then because we're pickling, I'll break them one more time. So there you go, get a nice one. That goes to the worms. That goes into the pickling jar. There you go, into the worms, into the pickling jar. So that's a really nice way to get the most tender pieces of asparagus. And by the way, these aren't asparagus that I grew. My asparagus patch has another year to go, so these are from Costco. And of course, I washed them extremely well. Oh, there's one that was kind of bad. And one more. Okay, I've pre-measured all the ingredients, and now we're going to pack the jar. And we're going to put in things like we have the sugar, and we have the spices and the salt and the vinegar, 5% vinegar. We have some homegrown peppers and tomatillos, and there's those Costco asparagus. And there we have some zucchini squash and some cukes and some beans. I've got 2 kinds of beans. I've got the scarlet runner beans and the dragon tongue bush beans. And there's those wonderful Brussels sprouts that we made, and those carrots that we poked. And then I think I'm going to also toss in some onions and a little bit of red cabbage, because that's just too good. Oh, and around the side there behind the knives, that's the cauliflower. So here's the makings for our pickle jar. Let's go ahead and I'll fill it up for you and show you how to pack it. Okay, we're ready to pack the vegetables. So let's start with the carrots because they're the densest. So we're just going to put a nice, good, thick layer of carrots here. We'll eat the ones that get away a little bit later on. Okay. Make sure they're nice and settled in there. Let's see, what's the next heaviest, densest thing? Maybe a little bit of Cabbage might be nice. Just enough to add a little ring of color there. And what would be good next? How about some of those Brussels sprouts? Look at those little guys. They're going to be so good. There's one company that's selling Brussels sprout pickles under the name of frog balls. So that's kind of interesting. Here go some of my nice homegrown beans. And they're doing just quite nicely. Again, pack them in there pretty good. And let's try some cukes. Oop, there went one with the worms. Here we can put in some of these nice colorful peppers and tomatillos. Top it off with a little bit of asparagus. Should have broken those guys down a little bit more. And then just to finish it off, I think I'll put in some of these zooks. Okay, and then again, you want to packed in there as you can. Try a couple more zooks up here. Okay, now when you're doing this, pepper, with dry spices, you can then put the dry spices in last. And by the way, these spices are a teaspoon of mustard seed, a teaspoon of celery seed, a tablespoon of salt, and then the rest of the ingredients. So let's put these guys just right there on top. Then we can start by adding the vinegar. The vinegar will go right down to the bottom on all these guys. 5% vinegar. And oh, I was going to also throw in a little bit of turmeric, just because I like turmeric and it turns all the white stuff yellow and it's really good for you. And then finally, by the way, all these vegetables were room temperature. You wouldn't want them chilled because then you might crack the jar when you get to the next step. Okay, this looks pretty good. You're going to fill the water up right to the neck, right to where my finger is. And so I'm going to stop adding water. Oh, and I forgot to put the sugar in. Oh, that's clever. So let's go back. And there is our finished pickle jar. And we have the fluid temperature, fluid level at the correct place at the neck. We've sealed the top. You have to sometimes force that seal to fit around the groove that it's in. If it doesn't fit easily, you can just put it in some hot water and then that'll make it fit easier. And then of course you seal it. And now for the next part, we're going to take this beautiful jar of pickles or potential pickles and we have to sterilize it and can it by putting it into hot water. So I will do that in just one moment. And we now have the jar ready to go into the boiling water. This is a very important step. So we're going to very gently put the jar so that more than half is covered by the boiling water, and then turn down the temperature so it just gently simmers. And then we're going to set the timer for 75 minutes. Then we'll start that guy going. Let the pickles cool, put them in the refrigerator, and you can eat them in 3 days. They'll last about a month. I have my poor old Earth flag, like our Mother Earth, has seen better days, has been abused, is kind of tattered and torn, and this probably is the best reason why we need to malama Mother Earth.
And we